Hello, friends. Welcome back to the JJ's Declutter podcast. I'm Julie.
And I'm Janis. And we are in part 4 of our 5-part series, Closet Chaos to Closet Confidence. And if you've been with us since episode 12, can we just say you have done some serious work these past few weeks?
Seriously, you've done the mindset work, you've done the purge, you've built a wardrobe that actually reflects your real life. And now we're tackling the thing that undoes all of that hard work if you don't address it. The systems, the habits, the daily and weekly routines that either keep your closet beautiful and functional or slowly turn it back into the chaos you started with.
This is what we see happen all the time. Someone does a magnificent closet purge, they feel amazing. Their closet looks incredible. And then 6 months later, they're back where they started, wondering what went wrong. And what went wrong usually isn't one big thing. It's a series of small habits that quietly worked against them every single day.
The chair, the laundry that never quite gets put away, the seasonal swap that just never happened, the slow migration of items back into the closet that don't belong there. Today, we're naming all of it and giving you simple systems to stop it. Let's go.
The chair. We have to start here because there is not a single person listening to this podcast who doesn't know exactly what we're talking about when we say the chair.
The chair, the bench, corner of the floor, the door handle, whatever your personal version is, it's the spot where clothes go when they're not quite dirty enough for the laundry, but not quite clean enough to go back in the closet. The clothing purgatory, the place where things go to live indefinitely while you tell yourself you'll deal with them tomorrow.
And tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes a pile so large and so structurally complex that you're afraid to touch it because the whole thing might avalanche.
Thing about the chair, it exists because it's solving a real problem. You do need somewhere to put clothes that are in between. The answer isn't to pretend that in between clothes don't exist. The answer is to give them an intentional home instead of letting them colonize whatever surface is nearest.
Here are a few solutions that actually work. First, a designated hook or two inside your closet or on the back of your bedroom door, specifically for in between clothes. Not the chair, not the floor, not the door handle. A hook with an actual purpose. 2 or 3 items maximum. When the hooks are full, those items either get washed or go back in the closet. That's the rule.
Option: a small open bin or basket in your closet for in between items. Same principle. When it's full, you deal with it. A bin has a bottom, which means it has a limit, which means the pile can only get so big before it forces a decision. The chair has no bottom. The chair is infinite.
And third, and this is a mindset shift more than a physical solution, question whether the in-between category is as large as you think it is. A lot of what ends up on the chair is actually laundry that we're avoiding putting in the hamper. Or it's items that don't have a clear home in the closet, which means they need one. Or you put clean laundry there rather than putting it away. The chair often reveals an organizational problem more than a laundry problem.
So let's talk about laundry, because laundry and closet organization are completely linked. And you cannot have a functional closet without a functional laundry routine. They're part of the same system.
Here's the single most important thing we can tell you about laundry as it relates to your closet. Laundry is only done when it is washed, dried, and put away. Not washed and sitting in the machine, not dried and sitting in the basket. Washed, dried, and put away. All the way through, every time. Finish the task.
We know. The basket is right there. It's so easy to just leave it. But a laundry basket full of clean clothes is essentially a second closet on your floor. And it's a chaotic one. You can't see what's in it. You can't find what you need. Things get wrinkled, and it slowly becomes this psychological weight that makes you feel behind even when you're not.
So the goal is to never let laundry stop at the basket. Wash it, dry it, put it away in the same session if possible. And if you genuinely don't have time to do all three in one go, at minimum, get it out of the dryer and folded or hung before you go to bed. Wrinkled laundry that's been sitting in a dryer is a whole extra problem we don't need, meaning ironing.
I mean, so now let's talk about frequency, because this is where a lot of people struggle. The question isn't how often you should do laundry, it's how often you need to do laundry based on your actual life. For some people, that's once a week. For families with kids, it might be every other day or every day. The wrong answer is whenever the hamper overflows, because by then you're already behind and already always overwhelmed.
So pick a laundry day or two laundry days if your household needs it, and treat it like an appointment. Tuesday is laundry day, not sometime this week and not when I run out of things to wear. Tuesday, put it on your calendar if you need to. Laundry that happens on a schedule is laundry that doesn't pile up into a crisis.
More laundry tip that genuinely changes things for a lot of people is sort as you go rather than all at once before you wash. Keep separate hampers or sections in your hamper for lights and darks. When one section is full, it's ready to wash. No pre-sorting required on laundry day, which removes one more small barrier between you and actually doing the thing.
All right, let's talk seasonal clothing rotation because this is one of those tasks that most people know they should do, and very few people actually do it consistently. And the cost of not doing it is a closet that's always too full, always a little chaotic, and always contains things you can't actually wear right now.
Basic idea is simple. Clothes you won't wear for the next 3 to 4 months go into storage. Bins, vacuum bags, spare closet, under the bed, and clothes that are appropriate for the coming season come into your main closet. So you do this twice a year, roughly, at the change from warm to cold and from cold to warm.
And here's the golden opportunity that most people miss. Seasonal rotation is the perfect built in decluttering moment. When you pull something out of storage to bring it back into your closet, you ask yourself, do I actually want to wear this season? Did I miss it? Am I excited to see it again? If the answer is no, it doesn't go back into the closet. It goes in the donation bag.
Miss it in 6 months, you're probably not going to miss it going forward either. Seasonal rotation done right is a gentle twice yearly declutter that keeps your closet from accumulating. Excuse me. Twice yearly declutter that keeps your closet from accumulating in the background while you're not paying attention.
Practical tip for seasonal storage: label everything clearly, not just winter clothes, but heavy sweaters or holiday tops or long sleeve tops or shorts, whatever's actually in there, because vague labels lead to opening 5 bins looking for one thing you need, which leads to chaos, which leads to giving up on the whole system.
So let's talk about the overflow dresser. You know the one. It started as a regular dresser for folded clothes. And somewhere along the way, it became a staging area, a landing zone, catch all for everything that didn't have a better home. The top is covered, the drawers are stuffed. Half of what's in there you forgot you even owned.
The overflow dresser is usually a symptom of one or two things. Either there's genuinely too much clothing for the available storage space, which brings us back to the work we did in episodes 12 and 13. Or the dresser hasn't been organized in a way that makes it easy to use. So things pile up on top because the drawers are too chaotic to bother with.
The first problem, the solution is more decluttering. We know you thought you were done, but sometimes one round of decluttering simply reveals the next layer. And that is so completely normal. If your dresser is overflowing, even after a closet purge, the dresser might need its own dedicated session.
If it's the second problem, organization, a few small changes make a big difference. Fold clothes vertically in drawers instead of stacking them horizontally. This is sometimes called the file fold method. And what it does is let you see every item in the drawer at a glance instead of only seeing the top item in a stack. You actually use what you have instead of defaulting to the same few things on top.
Absolutely. Janis turned me on to the file fold, and it's made a big difference in not only what I wear, but what I keep, because I see I haven't even touched a bunch. So it really does work. So here's a suggestion for the minimalists out there. Clear the top of the dresser entirely. Give it one thing maximum. Small tray for jewelry, a candle, whatever makes you happy, but one thing with intention. Not a landing zone, not a staging area, just one intentional thing. The top of a dresser that's clear sends your brain a signal that this space is organized, and organized spaces invite continued organization.
Okay, let's talk about preventing clutter from sneaking back in, because the best closet maintenance system is the one that keeps you from needing a major purge every 6 months. And it comes down to a few simple habits practiced consistently.
Habit number one in, one out, which I say needs to be one in, two out. I'm downsizing here. When something new comes into your wardrobe, something else leaves. Not maybe something will leave eventually, something leaves at the same time. This keeps your total volume stable or decreasing and forces a decision every day you bring something new in.
Habit number 2, a monthly quick scan. Set a timer for 12 minutes. Once a month, open your closet and just look. Not a full purge, just a scan. Did anything migrate in that doesn't belong? Is there anything you haven't touched since last month that's clearly not working for you? Are there items that need to be moved to seasonal storage? 12 minutes monthly prevents the slow creep of clutter that turns into a crisis.
Absolutely. Habit number three, a donation bag that lives somewhere accessible, not a hypothetical future donation bag, an actual physical bag or bin in or near your closet right now. When something stops working for you, it goes straight in. When the bag is full, it leaves the house immediately. Not next time I'm near the donation center. It goes in the car and it goes to the donation center.
Habit number 4, respect the breathing room. Remember in episode 15 when we talked about leaving breathing room in your closet after the purge? Protect that space. When you feel the urge to fill it, pause and ask whether what you're about to add genuinely deserves to be there. Breathing room isn't wasted space, it's intentional space, and it's one of the things that makes your closet feel calm instead of chaotic.
So let me share a little something something with you. I love doing the separate piles for laundry. So having a separated laundry hamper, or two right next to each other, um, it just takes all the angst out. You've got everything ready. So for instance, for me, if I said to my handsome husband, you may do the laundry today, which he would, um, I don't have I don't have to worry that there's something in there that shouldn't go, because things are already separated. And that just makes it so much easier. And I toss it in the washer when there's enough for a small or medium load, because there's just two of us in the house, and it works really well.
So I'm going to talk about small loads of laundry rather than waiting for a large load because my husband and I are the only people in the house. When we had four people, it made sense to wait for a regular load. But when you do small loads of laundry, your washing machine uses less water. It probably uses less electricity because the cycle is shorter because it doesn't take as long for things to fill up and it spins faster. So rather than thinking I've got to wait until I have a large load, do several small loads because they dry faster and that way you have the things you really want to wear. And the other thing, although I do um, sort my clothes by color. I have light clothing and I have dark clothing. If you have to put a light and a dark together, get those color catcher things from the store because they will collect the dye in the water and prevent your whites from looking dingy.
Very cool.
Okay, your challenge this week is to tackle the chair of doom. DOOM, didn't organize, only moved. Or the bench, or the floor pile, or whatever your personal version of clothing purgatory is. Set your timer for 12 minutes, hashtag decluttering dozen, and deal with every single item that's living in that in-between zone.
Each item either goes in the laundry, goes back in the closet where it belongs, or, and this is important, goes in the donation bag because you don't actually want to wear it and you've been avoiding the decision. The chair of doom often holds our most avoided decisions. Hashtag decluttering dozen again. Let's clear it.
And then set up your intentional alternative. 2 hooks, a small basket, whatever version works for your space and your life. Give those in-between clothes a real home so the chair can go back to being just a chair.
So today we've tackled the chair of doom, laundry systems and frequency, seasonal rotation as a built-in decluttering opportunity, the overflow dresser, and 4 habits that prevent clothing clutter from sneaking back in. Systems aren't glamorous, but they are genuinely life-changing when they work.
And next week is our final episode in this series, episode 17, Stop Feeding the Closet Monster. We're moving completely upstream. Instead of talking about what's already in your closet, we're talking about what you bring into your closet in the first place. Shopping habits, impulse buying, emotional shopping, online ordering, and how to build a genuinely intentional relationship with buying clothes. It's a good one. We'll see you there.
So please like, share, and follow us. Love to get a 5-star review. That way, others will be able to find us easier. So until next time, keep it simple.
Keep it intentional. And as always,
keep decluttering.
Decluttering.
We're so good.